Hello everybody, my name is Deja and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going over my July TBR. I'm extremely excited for the month of July because there are a couple really exciting readathons happening this month. The first one is actually one that I'm hosting called the Tarot Readathon, which is a competitive teen-based readathon, which I have a whole announcement video up about on my channel if you would like to check it out if you're potentially interested. And this one is a competitive teen-based readathon, as I said, but it's a little bit more chill than other ones that I've seen because you can kind of do it your own way. You can plan your TBR, you can pick as you go, you could do whatever you want. I will generally pick like 2 or 3 cards at a time, and then once I finish those, I'll pull 2 or 3 more, and then once I finish those, I'll pull 2 or 3 more. That's just how I do it. And as I said, there are teams. I am the host for Team Cups along with Lauren from Happy Haunts Library. This readathon is really like truly my heart and soul and my baby. My friend Noelle from Noelle 7 Pages and I, we are the creators of the readathon, and as I said, we have other co-hosts like Lauren who are helping to lead the teams. Noelle is going to be the magician this year who kind of oversees the readathon and everything like that. This readathon I just look forward to so much every single year, and we are going to be pulling 3 cards in this video to see what I'm going to be starting off with and what the cards are giving me. And then also I'm participating of course in Summerween, hosted by Gabby from Gabby Reads. This one is taking place from the 5th to the 11th, so towards the beginning of the month, and I do have a set TBR that I would like to get to for the readathon, but obviously I have to kind of work with the cards as well, so we'll see if they will allow me to read the books that I want to read for the readathon. I'm just really excited for Summerween and my TBR, so hopefully the cards will allow me to read those books. I also have some like reading vlogs and stuff like that, and of course we also do the spinner wheel, so like I'm trying to align everything with the spinner wheel, with the tarot cards, and with other prompts and just general like reading vlogs, stuff like that. So we will see how this goes. Before we get into all of that, I always start off my TBRs with talking about my book clubs. So the very first book club that I host is actually over on my Patreon called The Final Chapter. If you don't know, I have a Patreon and I absolutely adore it over there. Every single month I give the top 2 tiers the options for the book club because those are the people who participate in the book club. I give them about 4 options in a poll, and then they vote and decide on which one we're going to read. This month it was voted on to read How to Make a Horror Movie and Survive by Craig DeLuise. So this one's a new release. I generally put new releases and backlists in the polls, but new releases generally tend to win, and this one I'm nervous about, but I'm also excited because I loved Suffer the Children by Craig DeLuise, but his more recent release, episode 13, which came out I believe last year and I read last year, I did not enjoy, but that one also was like more like ghosty paranormal, but it was also really slow. So I'm hoping this one is a little bit more fast paced, and this one does have kind of like a paranormal element in it, but it's not ghosts. This time it's demons because apparently the camera used to shoot a movie in this book is demonic. All I know is that we literally follow a director who has like a demonic video camera and uses it to shoot movies. That's all that I know, and that's all that I really want to know, but I'm equally excited and nervous to read this one, so hopefully I like it, because honestly I know this is not like a good endorsement of my Patreon, but most of the book club picks that we've read this year I haven't really enjoyed, which is so weird to me because last year a lot of our book club picks were amazing and I absolutely adored and loved them, but this year they've been low-key flopping a little bit, so I'm trying to get us like on the right track. I think honestly it's because we're reading so many new releases, so like we're reading new releases that nobody's reviewed yet, so I don't know if they're gonna be good, they're gonna be bad, I don't know. And a lot of them I guess this year have been bad. We'll see how it goes. And then also on my Patreon we started hosting read-alongs for different series. We just wrapped up our read-along for the Hunger Games series by Suzanne Collins, and that was like the first read-along that we ever did. I really enjoyed being able to read this series with my patrons. It was so much fun, and we actually did live shows for every single book, but for this next read-along we're going to be doing it a little bit different. So it was voted on. I did the same thing with a poll with series to see what people wanted to read, and the one that won was The Inheritance Games by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. I'm surprised because this one is young adult and we don't really read that much young adult on my Patreon except the Hunger Games series, but that was one that I just picked. We didn't vote on that one. This one we voted on, and all the other series were not young adult, but I'm really excited this one won because I've been loving the Natural series by this author so much. I've read 2 of them this year and I adore them, and this one sounds really interesting, and I believe this one's a little bit more popular than the Naturals, probably because that one was published years ago and had ugly covers. Now they're just starting to get republished with cute covers, so people are actually starting to become interested interested in them. Well, this one has always had this cover. I believe in this one we follow a girl who ends up inheriting this inheritance from a man that she's never met before. She doesn't know who he is. The only condition is that she has to move into this mansion that he had. It says that this mansion is full of secret passages, riddles, and codes. And then also apparently this mansion also has a Hawthorne family living in it who is actually related to him. This family includes 4 grandsons of the man who passed away. I don't really know that much more else about this series, but I know there's like 3 or 4 books in this original series, and then there's a couple like additional books. So we are going to be having Discord channels to discuss each and every book, and then at the end of the original series we're going to have a live show for those couple books, and then we are going to do another live show at the very end of all of the books to discuss everything as well. So I'm really excited that we're doing it that way, because I think it's going to be really interesting to be able to discuss multiple books at one time versus just each singular book. So I'm really excited for this read along. I think it's going to be so much fun. If you would like to join us, my Patreon is always linked down below. The other book club that I host is called the Swin Sisters Book Club, hosted by me and my friend Nicole from Who Picked This Book. We have been doing this book club for a while. Originally we did everything monthly, but then Nicole had a baby, so we took like hiatus, and then now we're back this year and we're doing things quarterly instead of monthly. So for our second quarter pick, which was for April, May, and June, we picked Honey and Spice, and I'm really anticipating this book because my mom actually read this book and loved it and really wanted me to read it, and I've heard just really good things about it overall. I believe that it's new adult and fake dating. It says it's a debut novel full of passion, humor, and heart that centers on a young woman who has no interest in love and unexpectedly finds herself caught up in a fake relationship with the man she warned her girls about. I'm really excited about this one because I've heard such good things, and our live show for this is actually going to be on July 13th on Nicole's channel, I believe at 9 p.m. EST. So since the live show is in the middle of July, I'm planning on reading this book in July instead of in the actual quarter we chose it for. So I'm going to be reading this one in July right after Summerween for that live show, and I'm really excited to pick this one up. Every month I also pick a book for my TBR jar, which includes the majority of the books that I physically own in this jar. But I did a video a couple months ago for the first 4 months of the year, like my picks, or I think it was February through May, that I read all of the books just in one reading vlog together in that month. So I think I'm going to do that again because I really enjoyed doing that reading vlog. Instead of reading each one individually with the months that I choose them, I'm just going to be saving like 3 or 4 of them up and then reading them all in one go for a reading vlog. But we will see what I choose this month. Maybe if it's really good, then I'll read it this month anyways. So we will see. I'm reaching in and we'll see what color we are going to get. Oh, I always hate this because like they always want to come out. Let me try picking somewhere else. Okay, I'm gonna go with this one, which is good because blue is a thriller or mystery, and then each of these little pieces of paper, I know you can't really see it because it's so dark, but each one has a letter and a number on it that correlates to a column and a row in a spreadsheet, which tells me what book. So this is G43, so we are going to go to my spreadsheet and see what it says. G43 is actually The Cheerleaders by Cara Thomas, which let me grab it really quickly. Here she is. This is actually a YA thriller, I believe. I actually own 3 of Cara Thomas's books, but I haven't read a single one. So let's read what it's about together. It says, there are no more cheerleaders in the town of Sunnybrook. First, there was a car accident. 2 girls died after hitting a tree on a rainy night. Not long after the murders happened, those 2 girls were killed by the man next door. The police shot him, so no one will ever know his reasons. Monica's sister was the last cheerleader to die. After her suicide, Sunnybrook High disbanded the cheer squad. No one wanted to be reminded of the girls they'd lost. That was 5 years ago. Now the faculty and staff at Sunnybrook High want to remember the lost cheerleaders, but for Monica, it's not that easy. She just wants to forget. Only Monica's world is starting to unravel. There are the letters in her stepdad's desk, an unearthed years-old cell phone, a strange new friend at school. Whatever happened 5 years ago isn't over. Some people in town know more than they're saying, and somehow Monica is at the center of it all. There are no more cheerleaders in Sunnybrook, but that doesn't mean anyone else is safe. Like, I'm interested to see how, like, why all of these cheerleaders specifically died, and I'm excited to actually check out some of Cara Thomas's work because I think the reason I own so many is because she used to go to potentially Y'allfest, but this one is not signed. So maybe, I don't really remember, but it says it's kind of a little bit Riverdale and a little bit Veronica Mars. The Cheerleaders is a twisty page turner that will have you doubting every character you meet and everything you think you know. And that's actually from Riley Sager. So I love Riley. Hopefully this one's a good one. Before we get into like my spinner wheels, I actually want to talk about my TBR for Summerween, which as I said is taking place from July 5th to the 11th. So the first prompt for summerween is to read a book in the dark, and for this one I normally go with an audiobook or an ebook because this is a recurring prompt that happens basically every single year. For this one I decided to go with Ling Hoon by I Jung, I think is how you pronounce the author's name and the title of the book. This one I don't physically own, but I've heard such good things about and just have been so intrigued by it. This one just says it follows 3 characters in this modern gothic ghost story by a Chinese-Canadian writer and immigrant. Ling Huan is set in the mysterious town of Home, a place where the dead live again as spirits, conjured by the grief-sick population that refuses to let go. I don't typically like paranormal, ghosty elements in like my horror and thrillers, but this one I feel like is going to be talking about grief a lot, which I love those conversations, which is why it's interested me so much. And it has almost a 4.0 rating and has a 3.98, which is pretty high for a horror book, so I'm really excited to check this one out and see if it's up my alley. The next prompt is to read a thriller or horror book, which is really easy, and I actually created a summer TBR which I posted over on my Patreon for my highest tier, my slasher queens, and I just decided to go with this one because I feel like it's really good for this time of year. It's on my summer TBR, so we'll see. But that is Cloud in a Cornfield by Adam Caesar. In this one I believe we're following like a teenage girl, and her father moved to this tiny town with a weird clown for a mascot, looking for a fresh start, and then apparently there is a homicidal clown with a pork pie hat and a red nose that decides to end it for good because if your opponents all die, you win the debate by default. This one I've actually heard pretty good things about. It's another YA one, but I'm really excited to check it out and hopefully get a classic slasher kind of vibe out of this one. I was also trying to go with like shorter books for summerween because I haven't been reading a ton, so I've been going with shorter books, so hopefully I can get through a lot more for summerween and fulfill all the prompts without doubling up, but then also get through a lot of books for my team for the readathon. The next prompt is to read a book with a night sky on the cover, and for this one I'm going of course with Middle of the Night by Riley Sager. I'm really anticipating this one. I already have the audiobook of it as an ALC from Libro FM, but I'm saving it. I feel like this is like perfect for this readathon because Riley Sager always comes out with his thrillers in the summer, and so I feel like it's so nice to like read them every year in the summer for the readathon. So we are going to be going with this one. All I know about this one, I believe like our main character, his friend died when he was younger or something, and now he's like coming back to the town and trying to like figure out what happened to his friend. And this is the first book by Riley Sager that has a male main character and is being told from a male perspective, which I'm really excited how he does that because he's literally never done it before. So I'm really excited to see how he does. The next prompt is to read a book with a 5-word title, and for this one I'm going with We Need to Do Something by Max Booth III. I've been really wanting to read this one because of my friend Hailey, and this one I know is about a family that finds himself isolated in their bathroom during a tornado warning, and that's all that I know. I think it's going to be so good, and it is pretty short, so hopefully this will be a good addition. I've just been really wanting to read this one so bad, and when I saw this prompt and that this fitted, I knew that this one was going to have to be read for this readathon. And the last prompt is to read a book that takes place in the summer, and for this one I'm going with The Cotton Candy Massacre by Christopher Robertson. I literally don't know anything about this book besides that it is like a slasher that takes place at like a carnival or something like that. It is marked on Goodreads as like splatterpunk, which is basically extreme horror, which I don't really read anymore, but this one I think is kind of like verging on it, but that makes me excited because I just love a slasher, as you can see from Clown in a Cornfield, but I'm hoping this one kind of pushes the envelope a little bit more and is going to be more horrific and graphic, which is like what I really love. I love the gore, I love the drama, I love it all, so I'm really excited to check this one out. And then I have one more book that I would also really like to read at least during this month, potentially during summerween, and that is The Eyes Are the Best Part by Monica Kim. This one actually had an arc of that I didn't get to read in time before it came out because it just came out in June, and I got this copy from Aardvark Book Club. And this one I don't know much about besides that this main character starts to become obsessed with eyes and like eating eyes, but I think like in the culture, I don't want to say what culture it's from because I don't know for sure right now. I believe that it's very common to eat like eyes like of the fish and stuff like that, and it's actually seen as good luck in the culture that the main character is from. So it's very interesting to me, but then also like the fact that I think she starts to become obsessed with like human eyes and like eating human eyes. And it says that it is a feminist psychological horror about the making of a serial killer from a Korean American perspective. That's what it is. It's Korean, so I think in Korea it's actually good luck to like eat the eyes of fish and stuff like that. So I'm really interested to see how this goes. Eyes don't really like freak me out. They freak my mom out really bad, but this cover is still really creepy with the eye. Yeah. I also started a reading vlog in June that I'm going to be continuing this month, and that is just a summer books reading vlog. I don't have anything specific planned for this reading vlog. I'm just kind of mood reading through my summer TBR to see what books I want to read, and then also I put some on hold from my library, and whichever ones kind of come in are the ones that I'm reading for that vlog. I want to read like 2 or 3 more books for that vlog. And none of the books that I just mentioned are going to be in there, but other books for my summer TBR are going to be. I'm going to be doing 5 spins as usual, and I do get 1 veto where I can respin. So let's do the very first spin. So we have a book recommended to me. I don't know why I just said it like that, but I think for this one I am going to be going with We Need to Do Something by Max Booth III, because I'm going to say Hailey directly recommended this to me, or she recommended it a lot, and I feel like she potentially probably recommended this to me because I would always be like, oh, I really want to read that book, I really want to read that book, and I would always forget the title. So I'm accounted for this prompt. I'm really glad that the first prompt we are able to double up with my summerween TBR. Moving on to the second spin. We have a translated book. Okay. So I don't think I really own many translated works physically, but there has been one that I've had my eye on, and that's called Now You're One of Us, which is also a 5-word title, so I count this for summerween kinda as well. And this one I believe is translated from Japanese. It's technically a horror, and it says, in the tradition of Daphne du Maurier's Rebecca and Rosemary's Baby, here is a new classic about the bride who's no longer sure what to think. All families have their own rituals, secrets, and credos, like a miniature religious cult. These quirks may elicit the mirth of mild alarm of guests, but the matter is rather more serious if you're marrying into a household. If it's a Japanese one with a history, then brace yourself. Some surprising truths lurk around the corner. The Shitos, 8 people, 4 generations, 1 household, with young newlywed Noriko joining the clan to make 9. Her husband adores her to distraction, and her in-laws seem to be the most good-natured people imaginable. The family owns a thriving business and lives on a sprawling estate in the suburbs of Tokyo, and they've created a floral paradise. Once a series of strange events and inconsistencies trigger Noriko's suspicions, however, reality becomes inseparable from her own darkest imaginations. I'm really excited to check this one out. I think I heard Kayla from Books and Lala talking about this one originally, and it just sounded really, really good when she was talking about it. Moving on to the third spin. We have Fave Romance Trope. Okay, so I have 2 favorite romance tropes. My first one is Grumpy Sunshine, because I realized, well, I've always liked this trope, but I realized my boyfriend and I are literally Grumpy Sunshine, which is very interesting to me. And then also I really enjoy second chance romance, but I decided to go with a Grumpy Sunshine book. I was debating skipping this one, but then I realized, like, because of summer, we have so many horror books on this list, so I was like, okay, romance will be good. And for this one, I'm going with Actor Age Eve Brown by Talia Hibbert. Me and Talia don't have the best relationship because I didn't like the first book, Chloe Brown, and I also didn't like The Princess Trap, I think is what it's called, by her. I really did not like the book. Like, I hated it, but I enjoyed Danny Brown, so I'm gonna try out Eve Brown as well. I just heard that this one's Grumpy Sunshine. That's all that I know, and I don't really like to go into romances knowing a ton, so we'll see if I actually enjoy this one or not. I'm giving myself room to DNF, so if I don't like this book, I'll see if there's another book that I own that will fulfill this prompt. Now we're gonna be moving on to the fourth spin. We have a new to you author, a really easy prompt to fulfill. This book I was actually going to mention just like at the end of the video, being like, this is another book that I really want to read this month, because I was actually going to read this one in June for a reading vlog that I've been filming, because if I did read this one for the reading vlog, it would have just kept pushing the deadline for that video back. So I was like, I'm gonna just read it on my own time in July instead, because it comes out in August, and that is This Ravenous Fate by Hailey Dennings. You may have heard me talk about this book a couple times. It's actually a debut author, because Hailey is actually a booktuber who makes content kind of on and off now, but she is / was a booktuber, and this is her first book that she's coming out with, so she's new to me because she's never published anything before. And all I know about this one is that it takes place in the 1920s in Harlem, and it's about vampires, and it's sapphic, and I think it's also enemies to lovers. So it sounds really, really good. I'm really, really excited for it. Like, you don't understand. Like, I've been hyping this book up so much in my head, and as you can see, I have the arc of it because it doesn't come out till August. But I'm really excited for this one. I'm glad that I got it onto my TBR. And we're gonna go in for the fifth and final spin. We have a gritty book. Okay, I feel like we can fulfill this. For the gritty book, I'm just going to go with The Eyes Are the Best Part by Monica Kim because I feel like this one is definitely gritty because we're seeing how a serial killer comes into fruition, and it says it's a feminist psychological horror. There's eyes in it. To me, that's giving gritty, so we're gonna count that one for this prompt. So even if I don't get around to it for Summerween, I will still hopefully be reading it this month. Look at us, we didn't do any skips this month. That's really amazing because normally I do use my like veto power and skip and will respin, but we didn't this month. So that's really fun and interesting. I almost did skip the romance trope one, but I was like, let me just keep it because I need more romance in my life. So the last thing that we are going to do for this TBR is pick 3 cards from my tarot deck to see if they can fulfill. I was gonna explain more about it, and I generally allow any cards that fall out the deck to be the ones that I'm choosing, and I'm going to be picking 3 cards, but one of them actually fell out really quickly, and hopefully some of the books that I've picked already this month will be able to fit into the card. So the card that fell out the deck is 6 of Swords, which is read a book that has a journey, and this can be interpreted in a variety of different ways, however you want to interpret it, and I think I am going to go with another one that's already counting for 2 other things, and that is The Eyes Are the Best Part by Monica Kim, because to me this is a journey because we are seeing the making of a serial killer from a Korean American perspective. So to me that is a journey. It's not like an adventurous journey going on that type of journey, but we're seeing her journey from being a regular person into becoming a serial killer. So to me, I'm counting that as a journey, and hopefully I'll actually be able to read it for Summerween now. Okay, let's do the second one. Hopefully we'll see if any of them fall out. If they don't fall out after a while, I'll just pick, but we'll see. Hopefully I really want to get like my Summerween books on here because it'll make it easier since Summerween's right at the beginning of the month. Another card fell onto the ground, so I'm picking it up with my toes. It is the Queen of Pentacles. So the Queen of Pentacles is to read a book with a nurturing or caring character, or a book that explores motherhood. And for this one, I'm actually going to go with The Island by Adrienne McKinty. This one is on my summer TBR, so hopefully I'll be able to read it for my summer books reading vlog. It is about a woman who marries a widowed doctor with a young son and a teenage daughter, and I believe they go to this island that's very, very remote, and as soon as they step foot on the island, which is run by a tightly knit clan of locals, everything feels wrong, and then Heather and the kids are separated from Tom and are forced to escape alone, seconds ahead of their pursuers. And it says now it's up to Heather to save herself and the kids, even though they don't trust her. The harsh bushlands is filled with danger and the locals want her dead. Heather has been underestimated her entire life, but she knows that only she can bring her family home again and become the mother the children desperately need, even if it means doing the unthinkable to keep them all alive. So I think this one's going to be really good because we're not talking about traditional motherhood, but we are talking about a woman kind of coming into being like a step/adoptive mother. So I think this one definitely counts for this prompt. So we are going to go in for the last pull, and hopefully it's something good because the deck has been very, very nice to me so far, and I hope that it continues to be nice to me because that's honestly what I need with all of the books I'm trying to read this month. Let's see. Nothing has popped out, so I'm going to pull from the top. I have the 5 of Swords. So the 5 of Swords is to read a book where the main character needs to deal with their past. I think Middle of the Night by Riley Sager fits this one very, very well, considering that we are following a main character who's going back to this town and trying to figure out what happened to their friend in the past. So it's not their past directly, it's more of like what happened to their friend in the past, but I think it's good enough. It stretches enough. So I honestly might pull one more card because I kind of need one more book to read before the readathon because it's on day 5. So I'm hoping to read like 2 books before Summerween. So let's pull a 4th card. I'm only going to shuffle a little bit because I don't want to be here for forever. Oh, I just dropped all of them. I literally dropped so many of them. Okay, so I'm going to pick from the top. And this one is The World. The World is to read a book you've seen all over Bookstagram/Booktube/BookTalk. Okay, for this one I'm gonna double up and do Actor Age by Eve Brown because Talia Hibbert, the Brown Sisters series, is always all over Book Talk and mostly I think BookTube. I feel like it's very, very popular, but also on Book Talk and Bookstagram. So I'm going to count this one for this prompt because they just love Talia Hibbert. Like, she's one of the favorite Black authors of the girlies. So that is my TBR for the month of July. If you would like to see me pull more cards and everything like that, I do plan on incorporating these into my Summerween vlog, and I'm also going to be doing a 24-hour reading vlog hopefully this month because I did actually film one earlier this year and all my footage got lost, so I never ended up posting it. If something like that happens again, we're just gonna have to forget about her, but hopefully I'll be doing a tarot 24-hour readathon specifically, where I'll be letting tarot cards pick my reads for 24 hours, even though they're actually picking it for the entire month of July. But that's my plan. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you made it to the end, leave a little shell emoji down below, and I will see you on my next one. Bye, everybody. I'm writing rhymes in the kitchen, soaking in moments we live in. Yeah, you got the nerve to be on me.